Today we visit the home of Stephanie Stallard in charming Bartlett, Texas. Stephanie has spent the last 2 years lovingly restoring this beautiful early 1900s Victorian. The care in this renovation is apparent the moment you step inside this historic home with its classic details, vintage pieces, and eclectic flair. We are excited to share that this beauty is ready for its newest owner, as Stephanie has recently put it on the market. We know that whoever gets to call this gorgeous home their own will love it just as much as we do. There is so much to love here. We can't wait to go in and show you around.
Hi, charming Austin, Texas. I'm Stephanie. Welcome to my house in Bartlett, Texas, just outside of Austin. Come on in. We are standing in my entryway right inside the front door, and this room is large, quite big, and it's got beautiful original fretwork. It has this beadboard wainscoting, all kinds of fun, different antiques and finds that I've found throughout the years. This one in particular is a Kuba cloth. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's from the Congo in Africa, and women wear it as a skirt. I found it at an estate sale in Georgetown, just north of Austin, and this is the perfect room to display it and welcome friends and just sort of have a really good, large entryway. So this Victorian house was built around 1906, 1910. It was built by a man named T. Denton. He actually owned the lumber yard in Bartlett. There's a really neat stamp under the stairs on the wood that says T. Denton, Bartlett, Texas. And it is huge. It's a 4,200 square foot house. Upstairs has 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, and down here has the primary and a primary bath. I've been here 2.5 years renovating a house that was in good shape but definitely needed a facelift, and I've had a really good time kind of taking each room and bringing it up to today with some neat finds and collecting different antiques and things from estate sales, Facebook Marketplace, and just kind of making it my own. And it's actually for sale. It is ready for its next owner. It's in great shape, move-in ready, and definitely is just a house that needs to be filled with a lot of energy and people and all the things. And so I'm excited to see who the lucky caretaker of the house is coming up next. We are standing in my office. It's right off the entryway through one of 3 sets of pocket doors, also one of 4 fireplaces in the house. This fireplace I did paint, but I would never paint it if it wasn't originally painted. When I moved in, it was painted. You'll see a lot of natural woodwork in the house, and then you'll see some that's painted, and just know that I did not paint anything that was natural. I would never do that. So, but I did paint the fireplace. I painted the office. I removed the carpet. I repaired a lot of drywall in here. This was one of the first spaces that I renovated because I spend so much time in here, having worked from home. And so, yeah, it's a fun spot to kind of just sit and look around at all of my treasures. And some of those treasures in particular, I'll show you a little bit later. But this room is just light filled, and I can see everything that's happening in Bartlett while I'm sitting here from my desk. And it's just a great place to spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Now we are in my living room, which is just off the entryway across from the office. And this room, I didn't do a ton to. I found when I moved into the house, there was fabric all over the walls. I assume the prior owner did that because of just the old house movement that you get in Texas. The ground just expands and contracts, and the fabric hides any of those cracks over the years. I did end up keeping the fabric in this room because I like it. It kind of almost looks like that lime wash that you're seeing a lot of people do these days. But in other rooms, I did remove it and do all kinds of different renovation and peeling back the layers of fabric, wallpaper, drywall damage, all of those things. But in this space, oh man, I have some of my favorite things. This coffee table I found on Facebook Marketplace. It's a solid marble, top and base. It came up one morning in San Antonio and I rushed down there to get it. And the seller told me that I was just a little bit too late because she had a dining room table that looked the same. same. And so I was just happy to get this for a steal, but it's one of my favorite pieces that I will take with me from move after move after move. Some really neat chairs here in this room as well that I had reupholstered, found them on Facebook Marketplace. I think this house is a story or a representation, excuse me, of what you can do with secondhand items found from estate sales, Facebook Marketplace, thrift stores, antique stores. You can really get an elevated vibe or feel to the house, an expensive feel with secondhand items, and it just feels collected. It feels intentional, and I really encourage everybody to buy secondhand and go out and see what speaks to you at different stores. But this room also has 2 sets of pocket doors and another one of the original fireplaces. It has my favorite pocket door. It's huge and just one solid door leading into the dining room, which I'll show you in a moment. But yeah, I spend a lot of time in here as well, and I can see so many rooms from this spot that I'm sitting where I watch TV. And it's really nice to just kind of look around and see what I've done with the place. Look at the size of this pocket door. It's my favorite one in the whole house. Original hardware, still locks. I love it so much. And just through this door is my dining room. And I'm excited to show you some of the different things in here as well, where I spend not that much time, but when I have people over, it's definitely a room that we enjoy playing ping pong. So come on over. Now we are in my dining room. I think one of the neatest features in this space is this original built-in china cabinet, completely untouched. Clearly all of the prior owners took great care in keeping this in good condition. This room is huge. It's myself here and my 2 dogs, and so I'm never going to use this room as an actual dining room. And so instead I got a ping pong table that is walnut and, kind of could also be a dining room table. I held a Mother's Day brunch here with like 10 people around this table. So it definitely goes as both, but it makes a really fun room when I have friends over to kind of gather and have a good time. And then also in this room, we've got another fireplace, 3 of 4. And so this one is beautiful. It's still stained wood. We've got these beautiful bay windows, and it's got a lot of my collected art. I've got a gallery wall of women that I've kind of collected over the years, and all of my little finds and tchotchkes. And so while I'm not in this room that much, it's definitely a nice room to gather with friends and family. I want to tell you a story about this piece here. So this I found at Austin Antique Mall. It is just an old general store counter. And when I got it here at the house, I kind of cleaned this up. I found out that this piece here is brass, and it's got the old measuring ticks on it for yardage. So clearly this was for fabric measuring at the general store. And as I was cleaning it out, in the back of it, I found an old receipt that said the name of the general store and Shiner, Texas. And so, at the time, that was just a neat thing to find. But then later on, I was on Facebook Marketplace, and this really cool kind of apothecary cabinet came up. And I had to get it, but it said in the listing that the cabinet came from a general store in Shiner, Texas. And so it's in my bathroom, and I'll show you in a moment. But it feels like I reunited 2 pieces that were separated, who knows when, how long ago. And whether the new buyer wants to keep both of them or not, just to know that they were together for a moment is a neat thing. So let's go look at that piece. So here we are in the primary bathroom downstairs, and this is the piece I was talking about that came from the general store in Shiner, Texas. It's beautiful. It has super thick old glass, mirrors on the back, all kinds of storage, and it's just a really beautiful piece that it's conveying with the house. Whoever buys the house, it stays. And so, it's just, it brings this room kind of to feel more old and collected. When I first bought the house, this room felt a little bit like a Home Depot special. It had just like a really big black cabinet here. This actually matched that black cabinet wood, and I kind of painted it the same color as the tile that was here when I bought the house, so that the eye just kind of flows through the room. It had one of the just kind of square mirrors plastered to the wall. I pulled that down, changed the light fixture, changed the faucets. And then, yeah, it's kind of those light updates in rooms like this that you don't have to spend a ton of money to get kind of just a feel that is elevated and maybe a little bit better than just everything from one place. And so I think this room turned out really well. Here in the entryway, before you get into the stairway, it's separated by this fretwork. And you find this a lot of times in Victorian houses. It looks different. This one seems like it's cut out, but oftentimes you'll see the ball and stick and different sort of styles of fretwork. Keep an eye out for them when you're in salvage shops or at antique stores. I see people use them in different ways when they've been pulled out of houses. But man, just to think that somebody, in 1906 was carving this out by hand and that it's remained in great condition. And it just is such a detail of these Victorian houses that I feel very lucky to have spent time with while I lived here. Here we are in the primary bedroom, just off of the stairway downstairs. When I first bought the house, this room had fabric on the walls, which we pretty immediately pulled down. And behind the fabric, we found this really pretty blue and white toile wallpaper. But unfortunately, it was not in very good condition. The fabric, again, was covering up some really bad drywall damage. And so I did live in that phase for a little bit because I was focused on other rooms. But I finally came back to this space and I ended up pulling all the drywall down and put up this beadboard. I continued it onto the ceiling, and in the closet of the primary bedroom, there is original beadboard that kind of runs in this horizontal layout. And so I wanted to continue that in here. The color is Sherwin-Williams Shiitake, and I've pulled that through a lot of different areas of the house. You'll see it in the entryway on the beadboard and in the kitchen on the cabinets. And so it's been a really nice color to kind of just weave throughout the house. And so, yeah, this has been a great spot it's a very generously sized room with great light. And it's a great spot to just lay my head at night. But I restored a fireplace that was here. When I pulled up the carpet, I found a old concrete hearth. And which kind of told me that there was a fireplace here at one time. And when I looked at one of the original photos of the house, I could see the chimney coming out. And so I did know that at one time there was a fireplace here. And so little by little, I started collecting pieces and put the fireplace back. And while none of the fireplaces in this house are working, the three in the other front rooms can definitely be brought back to life at some point if the new owner wanted to. This one is definitely just faux. But again, I think if somebody wanted a true fireplace in here, they could pull it all out and do that as well. So it's a cozy little room and I love it. Here we are in the kitchen, which is located at the back of the house. This room was quite different when I bought the house. It was, from photos, it looked like it was in perfectly good shape. Anybody would like to cook in here, but you get up close and everything's just really old and somewhat dirty. And so I was very excited to finally get to this room. Again, this is a story of light renovation can make a huge difference. So what I ended up doing in here is I took down the upper cabinets from kind of this L shape. I kept the countertops that came with the house on this side, painted the cabinets, changed the hardware, ended up finding this beautiful plate rack on Facebook Marketplace, and it's got to be from the 1800s. It is so beautiful. The patina of the wood, it's got little wormholes, probably European, but it just adds a really nice kind of depth with the wood in this space. And it's better than just continuing the open shelving because you get the same effect, but it's a completely different texture and element to the room. And so this side of the room turned out really well. The island, when I first bought the house, it was sort of one of those that was flat and then had a step up at the far end. And it was plenty of countertop space, but I knew it would be more functional if the whole countertop was flat. So I was looking at all kinds of different materials that I could use, and countertops are very expensive. And so I ended up finding this countertop, which was on Facebook Marketplace again, and it is actually a salvaged bowling alley lane. And so I had a guy that was helping me with a few things around the house. He refinished the top as far as pulling the shellac off of it. He added a bullnose, and then when he delivered it in, I ended up refinishing it with this dark stain to kind of speak to the plate rack. And now it's just, I couldn't ask for more countertop space. And so that's a really nice upgrade that didn't cost a lot. The countertop was $300. So, keep an eye out and be creative for solutions that don't have to break the bank. And then throughout the kitchen, when I pulled some of the cabinets out, I wanted to do something that, again, was rather than just continuing the open shelving, I put in a plate rack. And rather than just continuing the cabinet doors, I did some curtains, which you see kind of these days are really popular in country kitchens and that sort of thing. But my sweet mother took my design and put them into real life, and they turned out so cute. And her handiwork is all over this house from when she would come to visit. And so, the kitchen, I love cooking in here. I love being in here. It's light filled. The mornings when I'm making my coffee, it's just a dream room. So I look forward to showing you more. Back sunroom, which is just off the kitchen, which is why the kitchen gets so much good light. I had plants all throughout the house when I first moved in, and they weren't very happy, but of course this is the room that they love, and so this ended up being my plant room. It's where I enter through the house mostly rather than the front door, and so it's just a really nice kind of space to come into in the mornings and maybe have my coffee sitting here while the dogs do their thing. And this space was probably originally an open back porch. And at some point, one of the owners enclosed it all. And they did something really neat, which they used the original windows from the house. You might notice in the front portion of the house, there's these huge picture windows with some vertical detailing at the top. And it took me a while to figure it out, but these windows that they put in this sunroom were probably the original windows that went in those spots. So it's nice that they were able to incorporate them. They give the neatest kind of reflections off the wall at certain times of day, and it's just a special little room. Here is the butler's pantry. So in Victorian houses, historically, the butler's pantry would be located between the kitchen and the dining room so that the staff would be able to kind of deliver the food into the dining room without the folks in the dining room kind of seeing the action in the kitchen. And so I love that this original cabinet detail was untouched, not painted. I feel really lucky that it was in this condition. And in this room, what I did, there were kind of Pepto pink walls and no crown molding. So I put up crown molding, I painted, I actually did the floors. This was my very first tile job. Cutting tile was scary, but initially, and then finally I figured it out and learned that grouting is a lot of work. Here we are upstairs in one of the 3 bedrooms. There's also an office/gym and a bonus room and a bathroom, so there's tons of space up here. This is one of the larger bedrooms, so large in fact that I was able to fit 3 beds. If you're familiar, these are Jenny Lind beds that are pretty popular, kind of antique beds. I found them all at different times and they all go together really well. But yeah, this room can just be used for so many different purposes, but I think it would be great for a family with kids, whether they're girls, boys, just making this kind of a large room for siblings. And so it turned out really well and it gets great light. So this is the little toilet/powder room off of the larger bathroom in the upstairs space. And this room turned out so cute. I used the floor pops from Chris Loves Julia, did some paint, changed out the countertop, put another curtain up here with some new hardware and a new mirror and lighting. And for not that much money, I was able to create a special little space that feels more collected, more intentional than what was here before. So I'm really happy with how this little space turned out. My design style is collected. I think I love antiques, modern. I mix in a few new things, but it's mostly, I like it to feel layered and collected again. It's just everything has a story, everything is secondhand, and it just feels a little bit more intentional that way. So this is the Wall of Women. They've each been collected as well over time. This one in particular is in the acoustic style, and a friend of mine actually did it. It was her first piece that she ever sold. Her name's Kelsey, and I feel really lucky to have it, and she's an amazing artist. But everything else I just sort of found at different spots along the way in different states, and I just like a conversation piece, something that is a little weird, a little off, but still, feels interesting and different. And so, yeah, it's a fun little space to talk about. My favorite thing about Bartlett, Texas is it's just a quaint, quiet, small, little town, but it's outside of Austin. It's so close to Taylor. It's very close to Temple. You can get anywhere pretty quickly, but you still are in this small town feel. We hear the trains going by, and I live next door to the mayor, and it's people look out for you, and it really is that quintessential small town outside of the big city. So it's been really nice living here. So with my design style being collected, I find my pieces all over the place, from estate sales, Facebook Marketplace, antique stores in Austin. My favorite one is Austin Antique Mall on the north side of Austin. So many of my things in this house came from there. And then just thrifting. You have to dig, you have to be consistent, but when you find that thing that you're like, oh my gosh, nobody knows how cool this is, it's such a cool feeling. And so anytime I get the chance, I am out there on the hunt looking for unique and interesting things. I get my inspiration from a lot of other designers on Instagram, of course Pinterest, like everyone else, and I definitely have my own style, but it is derived from some of the other people I follow. I think Heidi Callier is a very popular person that mixes a lot of patterns, and I've always loved that, and so I've tried to practice that here in this house, and it's been fun because it gives something for the eye to play around with the different things going on in the space. And then there's so many amazing designers out there that give me that inspiration to pull from and then make it my own with my own spin. Thank you so much for stopping by Charming Austin, Texas. I hope you enjoyed the tour. If you want to learn more, please check out the listing, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Thanks so much for joining us on our Charming Austin, Texas home tour. Check out the list of links featuring some of our favorite items from today's tour, and please make sure to like and subscribe for more content.